Good evening. Hello. We are here for a wonderful, if you can say, I would say outstanding, but we're here for an interview tonight. And yes, the interview, while it may be outstanding, it is also wonderful. That's right. The interview is going to be talking about Paul's Wonderful Circus presents the first harvest. And I have none other than the writer, director, and actor of this wonderful piece, Paul Allen. Let's bring him on right now. Paul? Hello, Paul.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Oh, thank you for being here. This is pre recorded. So unfortunately, we're not going to have any live questions. And it was very impromptu. If I would have taken a little bit of time, I would have had some people actually, be like, hey, so long time listener, first time caller. But fortunately for me, I just get to ask my questions. Unfortunately for the viewers, they don't get to ask theirs. But who knows? Maybe in a future time, they can ask themselves something and reach out to you. So, Paul, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing excellent. I unfortunately have been dealing with a bout of COVID, but thankfully it's been a mild case. So I'm just recovering and feeling better than I actually thought that I would at this stage.
And what a wonderful time to take a break. But then once you're done with COVID, I believe you're getting ready to start filming this new film. Paul's Wonderful Circus presents The First Harvest. That's correct?
Yes.
Well, before we start talking about that one, let me go ahead and ask you some of these questions. When did you decide? Now, when I ask you this question, I'm going to
Mhm.
disappear, and it's going to be just you talking, but I will be paying attention and listening to you. I'm just going to be disappeared so that you have the entire screen for everybody to see
Sure.
your face. So I will now ask the question. When exactly was it when you decided that you wanted to start doing filmmaking?
Oh man, so I made my first short film back in 2018, but I'd been very interested in going into film years prior to that. I couldn't even put a specific date on it. It's just always something that I've wanted to do. Um, I've always had the creative ideas. I can spend all day, every day writing, as I usually do, and not run out of ideas. And so I felt like it was inevitable that I would make a movie. Whenever I started the Paul's Wonderful Circus series, I had no idea that it would be the movie that I ended up making. And lo and behold, a couple years ago, I started coming up with the actual concept for it. And here we are.
Very well. That's awesome. That's good news. Um, Now you said your first piece that you did was in 2018. What was that called?
It was just called Manic. And it's actually kind of funny because originally that was not going to be canon with the Paul's Wonderful Circus series. But then I saw the similarities between the story that I was trying to create and the story that I had started to create.
Oh,
And I thought, why don't I just merge the two and make it one story? So that's what I did. Originally, Manic was going to be its own series.
okay.
In fact, the Manic short film was originally called Manic What I Saw. And the reason I called it What I Saw was because part of it actually is a parody of Saw. So there is a
Ah,
scene, yeah, there's a scene where I'm in a trap and I have to break out in, I think, 60 seconds. Then there's a later scene, not to spoil Manic for anyone who's interested in seeing it. There's a later scene where I have overcome my captor and placed him in the trap. And so that ultimately is what sets forth the events of the Paul's Wonderful Circus series.
oh, okay. Because yeah, when I started seeing how you're putting Paul's Wonderful Circus Presents, it was starting to feel more like this may become like a series or an anthology, if you will, like how Trick or Treat was and whatnot. So,
Exactly.
and I know I've seen Manic. It was probably about a year ago or so, and I'm definitely going to have to rewatch it. And what we'll do is in the comments section, we'll actually have some links to your videos and your movies and stuff set up for everybody to look at. So splendid. Now, with doing the original Paul's Wonderful Circus, the series, how much of it did you have full cooperation on, or was this mostly just done solo style, by yourself? As I was watching it, a lot of it is a lot of you just talking in front of the camera. You're having the conversation. So, give us without spoiling too much for the people that haven't seen this. Give us a full rundown, basically, of what they would be watching, and a quick rundown of the first season of Paul's Wonderful Circus.
Sure. So the first series, that was whenever I knew that I wanted to do more with the story. And so I thought, okay, the story is based on the killer. This killer, even though he's tactful, is absolutely psychotic. So what would a psychotic killer do whenever he was in between his sprees? So part of it was scripted and part of it was improvised. That's about 50-50. Half of the episodes are scripted, half of them are not. But I would just set the camera in front of me, and if I was not wearing my mask, then I would have more of a tearful and remorseful approach. If I was in the mask, then I would be in more of the psychotic character. And I would just come up with the absolute most outlandish things that I could possibly say that would make sense hearing that come out of a killer's mouth. Aside from that, there are 2 kill scenes in the original series. Those were absolutely incredible to film. One of them was actually at a music venue during one of my final performances. So it was really cool to be able to do that. But that is how I would sum up the original series, is just trying to create the origins of a psychotic killer who has the absolute most insane ideas that he just wants to get out there. Very found footage style.
Actually, and speaking of that, I have a clip ready to be set up. It is just a small clip. It's actually one of the kills from Paul's Wonderful Circus. It's season 1, episode 2. And I believe this takes place, I believe you filmed this in Connorsville.
Yes.
So what I'm going to be doing right now is I'm bringing up the I make sound effects as I get stuff around. So share, and then we'll enlarge, enhance. All right, here we are, and there we go. We're going to watch just this quick little snippet real quick. This is from Paul's Wonderful Circus, season 1, episode 2. It is a quick kill scene of you becoming the harvester, correct?
At that point, I didn't call him the harvester, but yes, it is the same killer.
All right, well, here we go, everybody. Once again, this is Paul's Wonderful Circus, season 1, episode 2. Here's the clip of one of the kills, and we're going. You go away.
Forgiveness of the weak. Forgiveness for the weak. And I will not forgive. Dude, this is too much. I didn't agree to this. You think not? Did you read the contract? I did, but this is too dark. I can't do this. I gotta get out of here. I can't do this.
Okay, and an ad for Game Grumps. What do you know?
This
So
episode
there
is
you
not
go.
sponsored by.
Yeah, no, not a sponsor. No matter how bad they want to be, but yeah, not a sponsor. So there you go. There's one of the kills from the original series. Most of it was shot with what kind of a camera did you shoot that with?
Oh gosh, I can't even remember at this point. It was I think it was like a camera from Walmart that was about $120. It was not the fanciest camera by any means. I've still got it somewhere, which is kind of funny, but I have no idea where it even is. I think it was a Nikon camera, like a very cheap old Nikon.
Ah, I know me myself, and I. We still have some pretty old cameras here. This is one that I was getting ready to film some stuff with. I still film my wrestling shows with this, and this is an old Sony FD Mavica.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's me showing my age. I have a lot of video cameras from the late '90s, early 2000s, and since I still have blank tapes, I still use them to this day. Because then it gives it that extra quality of like a period time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I commend you on that. A lot of times, I especially like horror films that have like a grittier look, or as they would say, vibe to it. So, I do commend you on that. I do like novel horror films that have just little. And one of the things that I noticed too with you doing the film was how some of the cuts were off and a little bit like that, but still it just made it a little more cringier, creepier. It gives that vibe off, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, and I
Thank
believe
you.
and the person you were the person that was becoming unalive, and that we both know him, a good friend of ours,
Yes.
Keith. So getting a nice acting debut in there. So good job on that, Keith. But anyway, so now, if you can give us like a quick rundown on what's going to be taking place in this film without giving too much away, once again, just give us a little information about the first harvest. We're all ears.
Yeah, so the first harvest ultimately will take place timeline wise about 2 years after the original series. And certainly a couple years after the Manic short film as well, because those, since they are now canon, they are around the same time period in the story. So the first harvest takes place, like I said, after a couple years, and it's essentially following the investigators who are now trying to track down the serial killer, who is known as Jay Sullivan. That is his actual name. He calls himself the Harvester whenever he is in kind of this split personality, if you will. So the investigators are trying to find him, and the only trace that they really have is the tapes of his murders that he leaves behind at the scenes. So they are trying everything that they can do to find him, but they don't really have any leads. So they're interviewing people and just trying to figure out any information, any at all, that would lead to finding him and hopefully apprehending him. there are a lot of very, very gruesome kill scenes. I didn't, with the original series, get to really do everything I wanted to do as far as the kill scenes go. So we're definitely doing that for the first harvest. But it's going to follow, like I said, the investigators, and then it's also going to follow Jay Sullivan himself. So it's going to be following both of those individual stories. It's going to showcase the Bloodline story, which is going to be introduced in actually a short film that's going to come out a little bit before the movie. It's going to explore that. It's going to explore the aftermath of some of the events of Manic. Specifically, part of the Manic story is that Jay had slept with his captor's wife, right? And so it's going to kind of explore that story. It's going to explore Jay's wife, his ex-wife. It's going to explore her story as, you know, she is kind of coming back into the public eye, trying to help the investigators find him. There's going to be a lot of personal turmoil for some of the characters, and those that actually make it to the climax of the film, let's just say that there's not going to be very many that come out of it. There's a lot of various influences going into the movie as a whole, Scream being one of them, Friday the 13th being another big one, the Blair Witch Project. And so as far as the climax of the film goes, without spoiling that, there's going to be a lot of Carrie influence, and that's all I'm going to see on the climax of the film. But aside from that, it does set up a sequel, and any further on that, and I'm going to spoil the sequel, so I'm going to go ahead and rest my case there.
All right. I mean, that's pretty good. Pretty good full description right there. I can't wait. Matter of fact, we even saw the new mask that the Harvester is wearing, and of course,
yes,
we've seen it because I'm the one that made it.
Of course,
I'm awesome. And as a matter of fact, we're actually tomorrow night, even though this is pre-recorded, Thursday night, I'm going to be making a mask for you as well, another mask. And this mask,
yes.
Explain what this mask is actually going to be for.
Yeah, so before I get into that, I'm going to kind of give the story of the actual Harvester mask. Both of them will be worn by the Harvester, but I want to kind of give the story of both of them. So
I'm going to go away and listen to you.
All right. So the primary Harvester mask that will be seen throughout a very large part, if not most of the film, it is literally leather that is stitched together. And it is going to symbolize the victims of the Harvester. It's heavily inspired by Leatherface. So basically, Jay Sullivan, whenever he's in this psychotic split Harvester personality, he has cut up his victims and taken parts of their flesh and stitched them together with leather, with wiring, with studs and spikes, and it just looks absolutely sick and nasty, and it's everything that a horror mask should be. So that's kind of setting up that mask. Now the second mask, I don't know if it's possible, like after we stop recording, to put a picture of it up, of the original version of it at least. But it's going to be kind of a half mask, and it's going to be very pale and disgusting, no doubt. But the original purpose of that mask was more so to symbolize loss and feeling of defeat. So whenever the killer ends up with this mask, that is going to have a very strong shift in his emotional state throughout the rest of the movie. And he is not, without spoiling it, he's not going to be the only one to wear it. It's going to have a lot of personal meaning to the killer and to the others who would wear it.
All right. I'm actually going to bring up an example of what the mask looks like real quick. Because yes, you hit me up asking me if I can also recreate this mask, and I'm like, yes, I can.
This mask was originally my stage mask whenever I was performing back in 2018 into 2019. And unfortunately, I dropped it, and it was made of plaster, so it broke. And so, yes, that is the original version of the mask, and it was with me through some dark times, we'll say. So that meaning, even though it's going to be fake in the movie, of course, is very real in real life for that time period of my life.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful for me to recreate this mask for you and to actually see it on the movie screens as well. And I know some people will actually be asking this. Are you, when the film is done, are you making any plans on distribution for these masks? Or not masks, but the movie, if you will. Have you been talking to any potential theaters, distributors, Netflix?
So unfortunately, Netflix does not take unsolicited offers. I did look into that. It will not be on Netflix unless they reach out to me. Full disclosure, that would be insane if that happened. I'd love that. But yes, I am looking into various streaming options. I am looking into different distributors because ultimately I want this movie in front of as many eyes as possible. This is my first full movie, so I'm taking it very seriously, right? And I want to get it in the right distributor's hands to get out there. And it will also be at film festivals next year as well.
Ah, very well. That's great news. Question. Who do you have so far picked for your cast? Is there anybody you'd like to mention, discuss, and give us details on it?
Absolutely. There are some cast members that I'm not going to reveal quite yet, mostly because I've not yet announced them publicly. However, the lead cast is going to be Derek McMahon playing the investigator Jerry Biggs. Jerry is a famed detective, and so that is why he is tasked with finding Jay, right? The next lead is actually going to be the character of Emily Levitt Sullivan. She is the ex-wife of the killer. And she, in the story, has gone into hiding after his second spree, which is going to be documented in season 2 of Paul's Wonderful Circus. She also does appear in the second season. But she is going to be played by Holly Ann Spa, who is an absolutely phenomenal actress. Honestly, this entire cast is just... I couldn't have picked a better cast. Derek is amazing, and Holly is amazing. She was actually in a movie called Chasing Rabbits that came out last year. And if anyone is interested in that, it is on Hoosier Films. I think it's like $10. There's also Deshaun M. Kelly, who is playing Aaron Burroughs. And Aaron is a bounty hunter, and he's a really good bounty hunter. I mean, we're talking Dog the Bounty Hunter level good, right? He teams up with Jerry early on, and after him would be the character of Ken Rogers, who's going to be played by Brett Griffey. Brett is another really good guy. Him and I have spent a little bit of time talking, and me and Deshaun as well. It's funny because Deshaun and I actually have talked more about wrestling, because he's also a wrestler, than the movie. After the Ken Rogers character, he was another detective, would be the Martin character. Now, Martin is a retired detective who offers his services to Jerry in season 2. Jerry at that point refuses, but then Martin finds a way to get involved in the investigation in the first harvest. And so he joins a little bit later on in the movie and is ultimately responsible for them finding Jay. And that is not necessarily a spoiler. Martin will be played by Joseph Moreland, who, again, is another phenomenal actor. There is also the character of Thomas Fisher, another detective, who is played by Keandre Howard. And Ken, Thomas, and Martin, they all kind of come in at the same time. And so they are kind of the secondary team of the group, if you will. To kind of close out the characters, there's also the character of Sarah, who is the wife of Jay's captor from Manic. And she is going to be played by Joanna Furbrosh, if I'm saying her last name right. If I'm not, I'm so sorry, Joanna. She is phenomenal. She is an actress. I believe that she said she's a singer and musician as well, which I appreciate because I am as well. So she is in the first harvest. And then without spoiling too much as far as that goes, whenever I mentioned earlier the bloodline story, the Sarah character, after the encounter with Jay, prior to the events of Manic 1, she had a daughter, and the daughter is also in the movie. The daughter will be played by Delilah Hefner, who I will say, without a shadow of a doubt, is the future of horror. And if you go to her page, you will see exactly why.
All right, awesome. That sounds like a great cast. I cannot wait because I know I myself, not only am I making masks, I will be on site for a couple days helping out with special effects with the pills and whatnot, because I like to do stuff like that as well. It's great to experiment with tubes and syringes and whatnot. Now, I laughed funny and almost choked myself to death. We have an exclusive. The exclusive is we have a teaser trailer because Paul, you've already started filming the show, the movie.
Yes.
And whatnot. And so we have a trailer ready. We're going to be watching it right now. This is the world premiere teaser trailer for Paul's Wonderful Circus presents First Harvest. Let's watch it now.
Season 2. This is
I don't know if it actually played or not.
It did.
Oh my gosh, did I just cut it short accidentally?
You did. By a few seconds.
Well, then we're going to watch it again. Okay, there. Okay, so this time we got to watch it all the way through. Sometimes there's issues when we're recording, especially through StreamYard and stuff. It blacked out for me, so I'm sitting there going, I wonder if this is actually playing or not.
Right.
But it did. So now you've seen, hey, world premiere twice. Ha ha! Twice first here. Ha! Take that, everybody else. But no.
Only done here.
Yeah. But no, so that was the trailer. That's awesome. Some good shots and whatnot that I saw. And it is now time for you to let everybody know out there what other projects you're either currently working on or plan to work on in the future. Once again, the screen is yours, and go, Paul.
Absolutely. So, like we said, that was the trailer for season 2 of Paul's Wonderful Circus. It featured, of course, myself as Jay Sullivan / the Harvester. It also featured the introduction of the Jenny Sullivan character, who is the sister of the killer. That is played by Alyssa Dusending, a relatively new actress who is insanely good. Anyway, to actually answer your question, so season 2 is going to come out October 14th of this year, which is ironic because that's the same day as the new Halloween movie, and I cannot wait because people can watch season 2 and then go straight to the theaters and see the new Halloween. Absolutely incredible. I did not plan it that way. But yes, season 2 is October 14th of this year. The short film Manic Chapter 2, the Bloodline chapters, will come out on December 31st of this year. There is a possibility it'll be at a film festival in November, though. So, again, just a brief recap. Season 2 on October 14th of this year. Manic 2, the Bloodline chapters, on December 31st of this year. Then we are going to be doing The First Harvest, which will be released on October 13th of next year. Super excited for that. And again, it's going to be released on the same day as another staple in the horror industry, the new Exorcist movie. Did not plan it that way. Didn't even realize that until earlier today, actually, whenever I was researching that movie. So The First Harvest will actually come out, like I said, October 13th of next year. We are also going to be writing a second movie script, which we are more than likely going to film that relatively close to whenever we film The First Harvest. However, the next movie to be released after The First Harvest, it's actually going to be another short film called Sister Sullivan, and that will focus on the Jenny Sullivan character and kind of her life after the events of The First Harvest. After that, another movie that is not necessarily tied to the Paul's Wonderful Circus series. It's another short film that I'm presently working on called The Chapel Next Door, and it is inspired by the Martin Luther quote, "When God establishes a church, the devil puts a chapel next door." Very loose quote of that, but I love that quote, and so I decided to make it into a script. So those are my upcoming projects. I am also contemplating doing a third Paul's Wonderful Circus season, just to tie in the gaps between Manic 2 and The First Harvest. That way there's something in between.
All right. Seems like you got a pretty busy schedule ahead. So I look forward to all this coming out. I look forward to working with you more, making more mask props and awesomery. Paul, it was wonderful to have you on tonight. And everybody will be watching, and I believe that they will have said the same thing. Paul, it is wonderful that we were able to watch you in this interview with Vinny Ratlock. Also, what's been playing down here, just wanted to announce back over here. You still have the Indiegogo, even though the Indiegogo has expired, you're still doing specials for anybody interested in helping fund the film. Tell them about that real quick.
Yeah, so I had been running the Indiegogo fundraiser for the full 60 days that I was able to. However, there were people who said, hey, we weren't able to donate in time. Is it still possible to do so? And the answer is yes. So if someone does want to donate to that, all they have to do is go to the Indiegogo link, figure out which perk that you wanted to get, and then contact me and we'll figure out a way to make that work, whether it's PayPal, Facebook Pay, however that would look.
All right. Once again, thank you very much, Paul. I mean, there's nothing else really to say, but Igor, press the red button. There you have it. Paul Allen. Paul, a tremendous person and a tremendous movie coming out soon, or season. Anywho, Paul's Wonderful Circus presents The First Harvest, Season 2. I think I did that right. If not, it's fine. I mean,
Close enough.
Would you stop it? You're not even on the screen. There we go. There you have it. Guys, what do you think? Comment below.